So just last weekend, I actually ended up watching the Minecraft movie, or I guess I should say, a Minecraft movie, as they so insist that it be called, and I figured I might as well make a video and give some thoughts on it. So why am I making a video where I give my thoughts on a Minecraft movie? Well, so Minecraft has always been a game that has had a very, very special place in my heart. It was the game that got me into gaming. I remember begging my mom for weeks when I was like 12 to be like, get Minecraft. Like, it was only 20 bucks, but my mom acted like 20 bucks was the end of the world and like all the money I could ever spend. So it was this thing where when I finally got to play the game, I was honestly beyond hyped. I had been watching all the Let's Plays, Captain Sparkles. His Minecraft series is actually very formative in my young life as just like a very chill way to approach gaming and play video games. And yeah, that's honestly why a movie like this was kind of special for me, or at least it should have been, because thinking about, you know, the game that got me into games, the fact that it got to have its own big time movie all in theaters on the huge screen IMAX, all the bells and whistles, like that was very exciting for me because, you know, like I said, this is the game, the why I game. So when I heard that there was a movie announcement, I was naturally very excited and very hyped and very ready to watch. Of course, when that first trailer came out and we got to see the whole trailer, my feelings became more, I guess, more mixed about how the movie was going to turn out. It was not what I expected what they were going to do, and I'll talk a lot more about that later in the video, but having watched it now, I have more mixed thoughts about how I actually feel about this movie. So to help at least organize this video, I'm going to break it down into 3 parts. First, the parts I really liked. Second, the parts I really didn't like. And third, the parts I could live with, as in things that I personally wouldn't have done for a Minecraft movie, but the fact that they did them isn't gonna make me say the movie's bad. That's for the bad section. So what did I like about the movie? Well, right off the bat, I really liked the visuals of the movie. I think there was a non-zero amount of effort. In fact, I think there was actually a lot of effort. I don't want to discredit anyone. A lot of effort put into making this movie look and feel like people were in Minecraft. Obviously, it's not the 16-bit textures that everyone is used to seeing, and it's very oddly like photorealistic, which subjectively may not be the best thing for everyone, but I honestly liked it a lot because even though it was not looking like exactly like Minecraft, it looked like Minecraft. That might be a weird sentence, but everything you expected Minecraft to look like, if for some reason everything super photorealistic is there, it has that almost uncanny and disturbing look of those hyper-realistic mod packs, or not mod packs, texture packs that people would install, and that would make all the mobs look weird because, you know, they're still blocks, but they have very high-res textures. The actual, like, look, though, you know, it looked like a Minecraft world, you know, the one that Steve had sort of lived in for a while. Like, there was lots of random buildings. The village looked really cool. There was a lot of things. There was even like a nice redstone contraption. Like, there was a switch. It did, like, the whole redstone effect very nicely. And I think overall it was generally pretty good. I didn't hate it. I really liked there was a lot of attention to detail. Like, everything was pretty blocky. You know, the orb was blocky. The, you know, apples, pumpkins, that was all blocky. It was all pretty true to Minecraft. I think they nailed the vibe of everything. You know, being in the cave, the woodland mansion, the village, just the general overworld. While we didn't necessarily cover the full gamut of biomes Minecraft had, I thought it all looked really nice. The second thing I actually really liked was Jason Momoa and Jack Black. Not necessarily their characters, but I liked their acting. I'll start with Jack Black. This is going to be, I imagine, kind of divisive, if not whatever, but I feel like it's definitely the kind of movie where you either like it because of Jack Black or you hate it because of Jack Black. So this isn't to discredit the writers or anything. It's not like Minecraft has a bunch of preset lore or anything like that. It's kind of just been a world where you go into, you explore. Sure, there's like some things you can figure out maybe, or you can draw from the games or Minecraft story mode. There's that kind of lore, but when you load into the game, you're not really told who Steve is. You don't know who he really is. In fact, it's not like the game even acknowledges that Steve is like a person, because when you kill the Ender Dragon, you get the dialogue, and they have this very weird fourth wall breaky effect, but they don't actually talk about Steve. So it feels like they kind of just saw that and were like, hey, Jack Black, here's a blue shirt. just go and be Minecraft Man for an hour and a half of movie's runtime and just kind of do your thing. We have this kind of backstory for you. You know, he's a guy who wanted to go into the mines, lived a normal life, then went back to the mines. It was like, I don't know, that part's like questionable, more on that later, but it did feel like Jack Black put a lot of effort into making this movie good. And you can see that he's very passionate. He's got his very Jack Black-ish style of comedy, being very loud, and I believe that he knows a lot about the game, probably more so than the cast, maybe besides the guy who plays the young kid, because the young kid probably grew up playing Minecraft. That's just kind of how it goes, but I know for a fact that he probably invested the most time gaming to prepare for this movie out of them. So you could see sort of that genuine passion to make a good film out of Jack Black. The second one was Jason Momoa, less so because of his character, like, you know, that's more to talk about later. I did not expect him to be good in a sort of comedy role, you know? I admittedly have only ever seen him in Aquaman, so I didn't really have an idea of him being able to play somebody funny or something very, like, zany, but he pulls off this garbage man guy pretty well, and I think he plays off of Jack Black pretty well. Those two had a lot of really funny scenes, maybe to the point of being too cringe, but I thought they were at least entertaining and not the worst things in the world. That's honestly maybe even too harsh. I mean, I'll say it. They had some good scenes that made me kind of laugh a bit while I was watching in the theater. You know, just in general, everyone else in the acting, they were decent. I didn't hate them. I could talk more about the actual characters in a sec, but everyone in the film looked like they had fun and wanted the film to succeed. There was no, like, I'm just acting because this pays me money, or I'm acting because words on the script and I had to say them. So there's that. I think that really helped me not hate the movie as much as I thought I would have. So then that leads me to the things I didn't like about the movie. The first thing I didn't like was any of the weird B-plot stuff coming in from the real world, quote unquote. So look, I think Jennifer Coolidge and Nitwit was probably the worst part of the film for me. The whole, oh, a villager wandered into the real world. Oh my god, I hit him with my car. And oh my god, we're now at dinner. And oh my god, we're in love. Like, that didn't really do it for me. Like, it was cool to see Jens as the waiter. Cool cameo. Very interesting. But it didn't, like, I don't know. The scenes felt very stupid. Like, they just had Jennifer Coolidge and they wanted her to say more lines than what she got. So they're like, hey, we'll just do this random thing to get you involved into the film somehow. That was sort of, I don't know. It didn't come across great for me. I felt it really just took focus away from the actual story in the overworld in the Nether, which the movie should have really leaned on a lot harder in that case. I'll say that, okay, at the end of the movie, there's a mid-credit scene featuring the villager proposing to Jennifer Coolidge's character. He suddenly can speak perfect English. He's like, oh my god, you've shown me the way, and I now know English, and you are such a valuable person in my life. That was, like, kind of funny. It got a chuckle out of me. I didn't really, like, think it made up for the fact that I hated those scenes in the movie, but at least it had a funny ending that didn't necessarily redeem any of it for me, but it was a fun payoff that I genuinely didn't expect. That was cool. Second thing I hated. I really hated what they did with Natalie and Dawn, the two female leads in the cast. So, without going too much into it, because I don't really feel like thinking back on the entire plot of the film, but it really feels like the movie centered a lot on Jack Black, Jason Momoa, and the kid, who, like, their adventure, especially after the group gets split up, they're like, we gotta go to the Woodland Mansion to get the thing, Majigga, to get you guys back to the real world. Oh my god. So they go off on this, like, cool adventure through the cave with the elytras, through the mine shaft and everything like that. So the two female leads kind of just do nothing. Like, there's this whole thing where Natalie's like, oh my god, I know I can fight. Cool, that's sick. Great, I'll see you in the last scene. Yeah, so it's like until basically the start of the third act, when they take the orb and they have to, like, recover in this mushroom house that, you know, the two female leads find, or the gang gets them back. And so it feels like for the whole second act of the film, they're just kind of non-existent. And that's where I'm thinking, like, well, if we didn't spend so much time with Jennifer Coolidge and Nitwit, could we have given them more scenes and more stuff to do? Because, I'll talk about it this way. So Natalie's character arc is that she and her little brother, they lost their mom, and she's supposed to act as his father or mother figure, and take care of him in this world. So, you know, she does all the mom-ish stuff. She gives him some goofy gift to give to the kids when he goes to school, which is kind of cringe, but I don't know, man. He thinks it's cringe. I think tater tots, bacon, pizza, that sounds awesome. I want to be friends with a guy like that, but that's not the point. We're talking about somebody who has this really, honestly, pretty okay emotional setup. Like, you can tell she's in a kind of a low place. She's not feeling it. You know, she feels this pressure to make it up for the mom, raise this kid. But at the same time, her main character arc is that, oh, she happens to be really good at fighting. So how do we resolve her part of the story, or like her character arc? She opens a self-defense club. That part made me feel really weird because they make a big deal out of their mom being gone, like in the setup. You know, there's the whole thing where, you know, you see the picture of their mom. She has this, like, sculpture thing that was like a gift to her. And after that, they just really don't mention it. Like, I could be wrong, but there's maybe one fight like she gets into with their little brother, and that's part of like why they're splitting up. But then it's like that whole subplot is dropped. Like, they just forgot about it. So what gives? Where's that payoff? I could be reading too much into it, but I just didn't think they needed to really do that. And then Dawn, her whole thing is, oh, I sold you this house. Oh my god, I have the petting zoo, and my whole arc now is now I got this sick Minecraft wolf in the real world. I don't need to have real estate agent as my main hustle. My petting zoo is now my main hustle. I don't know. She used the word side hustle a lot. That's why I'm sort of addressing that. But that doesn't. I don't know. Her character felt very underused too. Like, if that's her main character arc, like all she does in the Minecraft world is she goes like, "What the heck?" and like, "Oh my god, Jason Momoa, that sheep is not talking to you," and like. Yeah, that's kind of it. Like, I don't know. Like, it felt like there might have been some plan for those two, but the plans kind of never happened, which, I know, I feel like, you know, if you're gonna have two of your leads be essential non-characters, why even have them? They felt like side characters, which is annoying because I feel like there was so much great setup, for Natalie at least, that, like, it just all got wasted at the end there. I don't know, that's something that I didn't like about the movie. The last thing I didn't like about the movie was sort of the villain. I think Steve built, I don't even remember her name, like little pig sorcerer person. He built her up as this very evil person, and I don't know if it's just me just being like super snobby about how I like my stories to be done, but I feel like her backstory kind of blew. So she's this evil sorceress who is the most powerful piglin in the Nether, and she rules everything, has all these weird science experiments, and the only reason she is like that is because she one time did a talent show, sucked at being creative, and then also, after that, you know, her father abused her, and she swore revenge on the entire race. Okay, I don't want to make light of, you know, people who have experienced that, but it feels very almost off the cuff, like, hey, what if the villain's backstory was this kind of, like, thing? Like, it didn't feel very thoughtful, and it made for a villain who I thought, you know, whoever was voice acting her was putting their all into it. You know, I could feel passion, but the whole premise of her doing this was sort of weird. Like, she basically had full control of her own dimension, and this orb is what allows her to take over a whole other. She wants to make the Nether 2, basically. I don't know, that the whole setup, premise, and that whole plot line didn't really do it for me. That's really kind of a thing where it just made every scene after with her feel kind of stupid for me. So that's really my thought on that. I don't know if this one is necessarily controversial. I mean, it could be controversial that I think that, but also, I don't know, I kind of want a little more out of my villains, but maybe I've just been watching too much Marvel. But that's kind of what I thought about Pig Villain. I still don't know her name. I'm not going to look it up, and I'm too lazy. So now we go into the parts of the movie that, while I didn't hate, I could have done without. So the first one is sort of the general premise of the movie. As I was saying before, there's not a lot of pre-existing lore on the game. Like, a lot of lore, sort of like community jokes, like Herobrine is kind of like that. There's Minecraft Legends, Minecraft Story Mode that all sort of do things to add lore to the game. But none of that really actually adds lore to the game, if that, you know what I'm saying? Like, they're sort of half canon. Like, yes, they exist in Minecraft, but not the actual game. We don't really get to feel that. So I feel like there's a chance to really put some pre-established lore into the game. You know, make things a little more interesting, maybe put some stuff into some updates. But I also understand from their perspective of not wanting to really mess with what we have in the game. And I think the game's done fine without any actual lore, honestly. So fair play to them for not wanting to do it. What I really didn't like, though, was the sort of Jumanji storyline, you know? people in the real world get sucked into this thing, meet guy who has already been in the Jumanji world for a while, and the Jumanji world helps them solve their problems so that when they go back to the real world, they can kind of just leave it behind. It didn't feel exactly like that. Like, obviously, they still acknowledge the existence of the Minecraft world, and, you know, Steve coming back to be like, hey, it's me, Steve, and then yada yada. But I'm just really tired of those plot lines. I liked them when I was a kid, don't get me wrong, but I think that's maybe just me being not part of the movie's target audience. Like, obviously, the movie targets kids. Kids love that stuff. Or at least I, as a kid, liked it. And I thought that it didn't really give them a lot of space to really write. Like I said, it's like the two of the characters just kind of felt wasted. Jason Momoa, his character kind of got redeemed. The kid, his character really was the star of the show for real character development. I kind of liked his arc. His arc went really good. And then Steve's whole thing was he yearned for the mines, but then he it was like this weird thing where he kind of outgrew the world. Well, here, I'll explain this. So there's this one, like at the end of the movie, when they've defeated the piglin lady and they're getting ready to go to the real world, there's this whole like kind of peaceful, very nostalgic scene. They start playing Alpha, I think is the song called. It's the song that you think of when you think of Minecraft. It's very peaceful. You know, they're all leaving. Steve's watching them go. And then he just goes like, what the heck? And goes to the portal with them. Like, I don't know. I felt like it would have been cool for, you know, Steve to just sort of stay in the Minecraft world. He's got all the creativity he wants in that world, and that's sort of a big thing he pushes for the whole movie. But he kind of just leaves that behind because he made some friends in the real world, and now he's gonna miss them, I guess. Like, what about the villagers? What about, you know, everyone that's left? Like, is there nothing more they could do in that space? Well, clearly there's more they can do because the actual post-credit scene is pure sequel bait, but that's just my issue. Like, you know, they act like the Minecraft world had like nothing to do with what actually happened in the real world. Like they went in, they did their character development, they came back, and now they get to apply that to the real world. Like, obviously, I think the kid is the best highlight of that. Like, he learned how to be creative in the right way, or at least he found his spark to be creative again through the Minecraft world, and now he's doing that again in here. So that's part I like. Everyone else felt like nothing really came out of it, and that's just my issue with this kind of plot line and with how they handle the characters. And I really think that kind of branches into everything else that they did in the film that, while I didn't hate, I didn't necessarily like. You know, the whole bit where they had to do all this stuff set up on the outside to have them resolve it through the Minecraft world. That part is, I mean, I could see it coming from a mile away with how they are setting up the story, but honestly, that's, you know, it's not a deal breaker. Like I said, I'm pretty sure that it's not a story written for someone like me. What was done for me were the visuals and sort of the acting, so I can't hate it for that. And it honestly does the job of a Jumanji type story, so it's not groundbreaking, but it is very fundamentally solid. And then the second thing, which I can't also really say is a result of the movie being made for me, like it's really not, I'll keep emphasizing that, but it's the way that, like, they really lean into the whole half brain rot, half Zoomer humor. You know, you've probably seen it by now, like Steve going chicken jockey, or him going flint and steel, like all this stuff. I didn't really like it. I mean, as someone who plays the game, it felt very much like, this is stuff you can do in Minecraft. If you've never played it before, you should play Minecraft so you can see the chicken jockey or Lights of Heart. And, you know, that's not something that appeals to me. And if I want to take the movie as something to help get more people into Minecraft, sure. Like, you kids love that kind of humor. And I know they love that humor because I watched the movie in a theater, and there were a lot of children, and they were all really hyped over those really stupid moments. When Steve goes, I am Steve, the whole theater just, I am Steve. Like, it's, you know, and I couldn't help but think, like, man, those kids are having a great time while I'm sitting here thinking, God, when's the first time I'm gonna cringe? Like, kids will enjoy this film for what it is, because it's a very not hard to follow plot line. All the tropes you see coming. Kids probably didn't even notice the fact that they didn't talk about Natalie and the kid's mom at the end of the film. Like, they're just like, oh, sick, she knows how to fight, she owns her own dojo, that's so cool, haha. So I don't hate the film for doing that. It's a decision made by somebody for someone else, not me. So I'm not gonna sit here and say it was the worst choice in the world. That's obviously, you know, my take. So those were my thoughts on the Minecraft movie. I think if I were to give it a rating out of 5, I would give it the most middling 3 I've ever given. 1, because from my perspective, it's not really a good film. In fact, I wouldn't even call it like an average film. It's pretty below average if you want to evaluate it from like here's a movie that is trying to tell you a story that you will get invested in the characters. I was not invested in the characters. I still don't remember the kid's name. I only remember Natalie because, I don't know, her name was more prominently said. No, I don't even know. Like, it's, you know, I know Steve, Jason Momoa, like, all that stuff. Like, I'm calling them the actors more than their names. So, from that perspective, the movie's bad. But also, the movie was, like, not terrible. It didn't look bad. All the visuals are really good. It did Minecraft in a way that I didn't immediately want to run out of the theater and throw away my collectible cup. Yes, I bought the collectible cup. But that's really my thoughts. If they do a sequel and it's like the same exact plot line, I don't think I'll like it the same. It's not something that I would watch, at least not alone. I go with friends next time, maybe. That'd make it more enjoyable for me, because then we could either laugh at how bad it is or it'll be a good movie. So, do I think you should watch it? I mean, why not? Like, if you like Minecraft and you can get the tickets at an affordable price, it's not going to be the end of the world. And if you like Jack Black, I say you should definitely go watch it, because it is really his humor. Yeah, well, it either carry the film for you or will make you really hate it, because that's really all I can say at the end of the day. So, thank you for listening to this, like, oh my god, there's like 30-minute long rant. I guess 25, but I just felt like I wanted to talk about the movie because it was kind of a big deal to me that something like this happened, and I just had a lot of thoughts at the end of it. So thank you for listening. I don't know if I will continue to do videos like this. I'm really not the type of person who wants to go actively review movies. This was sort of a one-off. It could be more than a one-off if people like this kind of style, but I'm more of just a play games and enjoy games kind of guy. So yeah, thank you for watching.